I'm the Love Witch. I seduce men with my spells, my potions, my eyes, and my body.
Hi and welcome back to the channel, and it's time to do some more weird cult movies. And two of the movies I'm going to talk about are by the same director, who may well be my new favourite movie director who's working at the moment. Still working on that, but I think that's a possibility. So let's get going. Umbrella Entertainment, of course, have sent me some movies, and I'm still going through the ones they sent me, and thank you very much to them for doing that. They're an Australian company that's releasing all sorts of weird and wonderful films in various packages. They have a World Cinema label. They have a Sunbird Cinema one for Australian stuff. They have various different sub-labels for the different kinds of movies that they're releasing. They're releasing them all on Blu-ray. I hear from Heath over at Serial at Midnight that most of them will work on American players, and they are wonderful. This label is just so much on beam with me that I love the fact that they're giving me review copies of things, which is always nice. They're not a sponsor of the channel, but they do give me reviews. So I'm going to go through these in reverse order. I'll get to the two movies I spoke about at the start of the video, but let's get started. I got the one volume of the Drive-In Delirium sets that I didn't have now. Drive-In Delirium is Umbrella Entertainment being very playful. What it is a whole bunch of movie trailers. They've got the best trailers they can possibly get. And there are 167 theatrical trailers remastered in high definition on here, with a bonus 96 minutes of standard definition trailers that they weren't able to upgrade. So all up there is, let's see if I can work it out, 378 minutes of movie trailers on this. And this is the one I didn't have. And I picked it up recently because I happened to see it. I paid for this one. But the Drive-In Delirium series is terrific stuff. All sorts of trailers. The thing is with these, you're going to have to sit down and watch them with a pen and paper handy, or even your Amazon or other provider open, so you can actually write down the movies that you want to see the full movies of. It's it's like when you go into a posh brewery and they give you those little planks with all the little bits of the different beers they've got. This is like that for movies, and I really enjoy these. In fact, when I finish this video and finish doing all the post-production, I'm going to sit down and watch this sucker and probably get bed sores from doing it. But I like what they do. This one's R-rated for strong sexual violence, adult themes, sexual references, and nudity. So you know it's good. And if you look at the inside cover, they've got a list of the movies there, so you can kind of go through them. And if you've forgotten where you're up to, you can keep track of it. But it's nice that they do that. Let's just read off a few of them. Let's see. Spasm, Slugs, Maniac, Zut, The Black Scorpion from 1957, Case of the Bloody Iris, Absurd Madhouse, Blind Date, Stage Fright, Night of Terror, aka Burial Ground, The Man from Deep River. I saw that in the cinema and it messed me up. Let's see. The Medusa Touch, which has been put out by Impact recently. Dracula AD 1972, so there's a lot of Hammer stuff in there as well. There is a little bit of overlap between this and some of the others, but not so much that it becomes a problem for you. But these ones are just fun to watch and just fun to have on while you're doing other things as well, because they're very much the kind of thing this channel likes. I did get out the other discs I've got to show. I don't have them all, but I've got enough of them to make it kind of interesting. There's Drive-In Delirium, Maximum 80s Overdrive with Chuck Norris on the front, and we all know I don't like Chuck Norris very much. But this one's got, let's see, 227 minutes. Drive-In Delirium, The Final Conflict. So there's that one, and that's got 420 minutes. By the way, all of these are region free. Drive-In Delirium, The New Batch, with a bit of your Charlie Bronson on the front. All region again, and this one's got 373 minutes of stuff. And then I've got the older ones, which they put out on DVD back in the day. And I picked up a couple of these. I've got Volume 1 and Volume 3. And thanks to my friend Morris from Love That Album podcast, who got me my first one of these. This is a 4-disc DVD series. It's Volume 1, Drive-In Delirium. And there it is. And this one has all region as well. 703 minutes of standard definition trailers on that one. I don't have volume 2, but I've got volume 3, Retro Rampage. So this is just the best. This one's got 720 minutes as well. So basically you could spend a month watching these things and just enjoying the movie trailers and watching the way they do the movie trailers. The voiceovers are part of the art of movie trailers, with people like Adolf Caesar doing them and Don LaFontaine and people like that doing them. They got that wonderfulness of old school movie trailers, and there's a whole bunch of Corman stuff in there that people like Alan Arkush and Joe Dante created the trailers for. So there's some interesting historical stuff there as well. You can get them from Umbrella, at least some of them are still in print. And so I'll post a link to Umbrella's website so you can go and check out all the goodness there. They're nice people to deal with, and they're putting out some really wild and wonderful things at the moment. Now the other thing I got, and this again is thanks to Heath at Serial at Midnight, I wasn't going to get this, but I decided to based on his say-so. It's very much a 1980s thing. It's very much a 1980s thing that we saw on the shelves in video shops so very often here in Australia. I think Roadshow put it out originally, but it's Ghoulies 1 and 2. Now Ghoulies is like Gremlins or those other little monsters that terrorize people. We got special features on there, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to go into all the details. There's the inside cover with the ghoulies coming out of the toilet because they thought it would be really cool to have them coming out of the toilet and scaring kids so that they got constipated. And that happened. Now, I haven't watched these since it was like 10 for $10 at a video shop in the 1990s. So I'm going to look forward to going back and looking at those. There is the back cover, which has got a lot of detail, a lot of extras in there, a lot of love got into this one. Let's see what the rating is. Medium level violence, medium level coarse language. So, yeah, not bad. Not as good as the first one I showed you, but not bad. And I'm really looking forward to it. And this one, too, is not region locked. So if you go to Umbrella Entertainment, you can definitely pick up a copy of this. And if you're in certain other parts of the world, the exchange rates work very much in your favour to do that. But yeah, I love that style of 1980s kind of monster puppetry. There are a whole bunch of them. There are things like Sorority Babes, the Slime Ball Bowlerama, where there's a genie that's in a bowling trophy in a bowling alley. And all of those monsters, those puppet monsters from the 1980s, were just so cute. They weren't in any way realistic. They weren't your kind of Yoda in the Star Wars series. They were rough as guts and wonderfully fun for that. So I'm looking forward. I'm going to probably binge these buggers on the weekend as well. And I really do like them. 2-disc set, Blu-ray, region unlocked. Nothing not to love here. If you're into this kind of movie, you're into horror / science fiction, and if you went to video stores in the 70s, 80s, not 70s, but 80s and 90s, and into the 21st century, you will have seen this. And it's just such great fun to be able to access these movies. And again, they'll probably turn up on streaming services if they haven't already. But streaming services are ephemeral. They last sometimes as long as the food in your fridge, or at least in your freezer. And so if you like these movies and you want to really treasure them, physical media is the way to go. It's always the way to go with this stuff. It's not going to come back if it disappears, and you're preserving cinema history by having copies of them. Which brings me to the elephant in the room, which is probably not a good analogy for this one. Umbrella sent me this because I requested it. It's from their Beyond Genres, and it's number 20 of Beyond Genres. And stick with me on this one because it doesn't sound like it's going to be your kind of film, but it very much is. It's a wonderful little thing. There are actually 2 films on this disc. Wonderful little thing called The Love Witch. Directed, written, produced, and designed by an auteur director, Anna Biller. And Anna Biller may be my new favourite director for this year. I've seen a few of her movies. In fact, this was set, and here's the inside cover. Also includes another one of her movies that she made earlier, The Love Witch is from 2016. And she did another movie called Viva, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But The Love Witch is really, really fun. It stars Samantha Robinson as a woman called Elaine who's a witch. And Elaine moves to a country town in California and sets up shops, painting and selling love potions through the local shop. It's a very hippie kind of area. And Elaine is looking for love. She wants to find a true love. And she's very good at doing spells and potions. She was part of a witch's cult, a coven. And we see the coven as well as part of the movie. And she's really good with the potions. In fact, she's so good. Gratuitous cat shot. Hey, Luna. She doesn't want to be picked up, but she wants to claw my leg. But anyway, so she's really, really good with the potions. So good, in fact, that the guys fall puppy dog in love with her when she does a love potion to try to find the man of her dreams. And the beautiful thing about this, and Annabella is very much a feminist director, is the guys can't deal with the fact that they suddenly have all these feelings. They repress their feelings so much, they just can't deal with having this much emotion. And each of them crumbles in their own way and just can't deal with the fact that they're suddenly in love with this woman and it's knocking their other relationships into a cocked hat. And she ends up being a kind of serial killer of men that she finds attractive. She doses them with the love potions and ultimately is disappointed with them because they turn into total wusses. And it makes it a very funny movie. Now, the other great thing about this is it looks like an old school Hollywood film. Mark Kermode, the English movie reviewer, has said that Annabella's the Love Witch is a combination of Douglas Sirk and Jess Franco. It's got a little bit of both. I'd say there's a few other things in there as well. There's a bit of Jacques Demy, and Annabella has said that she is a great fan of the cinema of Jacques Demy, particularly one of his later films, Perdon, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm going to watch. I've got a copy of it, but I haven't seen it yet. But it's a movie with Catherine Deneuve in it, and also Jean Marais, and it's a very dark feminist fairy tale. And I'm looking forward to seeing that now, because Annabella did a thing for the Criterion Channel where she talked about her love of this film, Perdonne, and how it's influenced the movie she's made. And I'm a big Jacques Demy fan myself, so the fact that both her and I like Jacques Demy movies and I like her movies, it's kind of nice. It's a good thing for me, because watching filmmakers I haven't seen before is something I really need to do more of. I need to kind of cleanse the palate, refresh it. And The Love Witch is so great. It harks back to other things. There's a little touch of Hammer movies in there. There's a little touch of those kind of titillating witch movies that came out at various times in the past, like Simon, King of the Witches, and things like The Virgin Witch, an English movie from about 1973. It's got a little bit of the feel of that. There is some nudity in the film, and there is some innovative and funny uses of sanitary products in this movie, and it's one of those movies where it looks like an old school film, because Annabella does a few things. Firstly, she films on film rather than digitally, because she likes to look at that, and she uses studio lighting instead of naturalistic lighting, so you get that kind of intensified color palette that you got in the 1950s films of a director like Douglas Sirk. It really pops out of the screen. And the production design is fantastic as well. The costumes, the makeup, the hair, all of this she's very involved in. And it looks like a 1960s/1970s movie about a witch woman. Only they have modern cars, they have mobile phones and things like that. So there's a kind of timelessness about this film. And the other thing I noticed watching The Love Witch is a lot of the camera placements when she's walking around houses and things like that are directly related to the kind of camera placements you get in TV series like Kolchak the Night Stalker. If someone's walking up the stairs in Kolchak the Night Stalker, you get exactly the same kind of camera angle in The Love Witch as you do in that. So it's got all of these kind of homages to the past, whether conscious or unconscious, that really make it work. And the good thing too is, if you get yourself a copy of The Love Witch, you get the slightly earlier movie Annabella made, starring herself, Viva, Now, Viva is ridiculous fun. Annabella plays a 1960s suburban housewife called Barbie, which is the best name for a 1960s suburban housewife, who's kind of bored with her life. Her husband, Rick, is not paying her enough attention. And so she goes on this journey with her friend Sheila. And they both end up being sex workers for a little time. And she ends up being a dancer and things like that. And goes on this crazy journey, which is straight out of one of those cute, nudie Doris Wishman movies of the 1960s. The production design here is fantastic. It looks like the cartoons, those full-page cartoons that they had in Playboy magazines in the 60s and 70s. And that's a deliberate choice. Annabella loves those cartoons and loves Playboys from the era. In fact, the movie has a bunch of Playboy magazines in it. And so she set up the movie to be basically a long version of the cartoons in a Playboy magazine from the 1960s/1970s. And it's hilarious fun. The dialogue's crazy. The actors are deliberately bad acting, which is a lot of fun as well. There's a lot of nudity in there. There's a nudist camp scene because those cartoons, of course, had nudist camp stuff in them. One of the characters as well talks at a party using the quotes and the taglines from advertisements that were in 1960s Playboy magazines. It's a crazily layered little film. It's about a woman's journey to find out who she is and to find herself. And it kind of subverts the paradigm of Playboy being just for men. And she turns it into the Playboy lifestyle being about women liberating themselves from all of the bullshit of the men around them. And I love that. It really is a lot of fun. It looks like a nudie movie from the 1960s. And yet it's got a kind of knowing sensibility about it. And there are homages to other movies in it as well. There's a scene at the end which I love and which made me totally love the work of Annabella, where Barbie and her friend Sheila dress up in exactly the same costumes that Catherine Deneuve and Francois Dorliac wore at the end of Les Demoiselles de Rochefort, one of my favourite Jacques Demy movies. And I love that. I love that kind of homage, which not everybody's going to get. 10% of the audience is going to get it. And it doesn't matter if you don't. But if you do, it's just like, oh, she went there, she did that. She knows that movie and loves it as much as I do. It's a lot of fun to just pick out those little bits and to see the way that Annabella really subverts the paradigm of 1960s Playboy magazines and makes a very funny, titillating and feminist movie all at once. I love that. The movie is, for me, as good as The Love Witch in its own way. And Annabella is one of those movie makers who has a singular vision of what she wants to do, and she's got a very retro style about things, which I like. There are so many movies in this room which may well have influenced the work of Annabella, and I really like that. Now, just let me get the discs again. Now, it's actually on 2 discs, so you don't get shortchanged by having all of this on 1 disc. You do get the 2 discs, one with The Love Witch on it, and one with Viva on it. And the good thing about the Viva disc is that it also includes the earlier short films that Annabella made, which are A Visit from the Incubus, which is a weird kind of vampire musical western as a short film. It's got to be seen to be believed. Fairy Ballet, which is a kind of student film she did. The Hypnotist, which is another weird little short film. And 3 examples of Myself as Queen. And it's got behind the scenes stuff. The Love Witch disc itself's got a lot of extras as well, with Annabella doing an audio commentary and the cinematographer M. David Mullen, and Samantha Robinson, the star, and Jared Sanford, who was an actor and a producer on it. Behind the scenes, interview with the cinematographer, deleted scenes, and the trailers. So this is a really great package of a bit of an obscurity, which played in England at a horror movie festival, though it's not quite a horror movie. There's the back cover as well. And these movies are just such fun. I like them a lot. I like the fact that it's knowing about cinema. It's entertaining if you don't know as much about cinema, which is great. You've got to kind of lean into the world that's created in these movies. I can't recommend them highly enough. It's good to know that there's a new film that's an exploitation movie, or a couple of films, well, relatively new. The Love Witch is from 2016, which are exploitation movies of the 1960s and 70s made in the 21st century. Now, I did check out Annabella's Twitter, and the movie that she's got in pre-production now is her own version of Kaidan, the Japanese ghost legend. She's half Japanese, her mother's Japanese. And her mother appears in Viva as a Mae West Japanese character in an orgy scene of all things. And she's kind of leaning into that side of her heritage and doing Kaidan. If you've seen Kaidan, the Japanese ghost movie, which I highly recommend you do, it's going to be an interesting thing to see what she does with that kind of Japanese ghost story format. And I will definitely be watching that one because A, I like Japanese ghost story movies because they scare the shit out of me. And B, I want to see what somebody who is as talented and as original as Annabella will do with that. Really interesting director. Nice little disc package there. I love this production. And it is just a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, throw a like, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think of any of these movies and which ones you'd like to pick up, because this is slightly different for the channel, but I want to see where the audience and the subscribers and the viewers are with this kind of movie to review. I like grindhouse movies in general, and this kind of stuff is definitely that. So anyway, you can also support the channel, by the way, by donating as little as US $1 a month at patreon.com/paleocinema. And a few extra things will be thrown up there now and then to give extra value to people who do support on Patreon. So anyway, that's it for this time around. Thanks again for watching. Check out some movies you wouldn't normally watch. Things like this, or the other movies I showed you. Ghoulies I'm going to look forward to watching. Watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Watch some movies that reference movies of the past, because there are a few, and it's not always done well, but in this case it has been. And I'll catch you next time.